I don't know if I've been scammed or not. This is the first words that came out of this person's mouth. And usually these are via a phone call, but we're fortunate that we actually have this conversation in a message thread that I can actually show you visually so you can see that this is something that happens a lot, and you can be aware of it, you can avoid it, and just understand kind of some of the details. Now, I talk about ERC scams on my other videos. Definitely go check out my other videos on my channel so that you can see, there's all kinds of scams. Guys, you got to understand, ERC is big money, right? It is very legitimate. It's a government program, but it's very complicated. So unfortunately, the average business owner isn't going to be able to do it and do it the right way. They could do it, but they're probably going to do it the wrong way, probably end up getting audited and probably have problems down the road. But what we're talking about is, something that just makes it so difficult for business owners to take advantage of this without proper help. Well, there's a lot of companies out there who are promoting themselves as proper help, as you're going to see in this conversation right now. But in the end, all they're doing is taking people's money and scamming people. So here's an article right here. Let's see. So it says, this was put out on October 19th, 2022. So this is something that's been, they've been aware of for a long time. As soon as the ERC rules changed and people caught wind of it, these companies started popping up all over the place, out of the woodwork, offering these services. So employers warned to beware of third parties promoting improper employee retention credit claims, right? So you can go just look that up on the IRS website and read about that. They don't go into the details about the different type of, scams and things like that. We do on the videos on this channel. So go check those out. But let's get into this conversation because I want you to hear what's going on. So first thing, I blocked everything out. So there's nothing identifying on here that you're going to be able to see. Because we want to maintain privacy, and I'm sure that they are happy to be able to share this story with you so that you don't make the same mistake, right? And you'll see this message came into us at 12:50 a.m. It just so happens I was up, couldn't fall asleep. I was just kind of tinkering around with some stuff, and this message comes in. It says, "Hello, I just have a question. I don't know if I've been scammed or not." Of course, my question is, what makes you think you've been scammed? And there's a few key things here. It says, well, this company called, I'm blanking out the name because I don't need them giving me grief, called blank. All she told me was, give me your EIN number, your address, your full name, and email. And obviously, she had a phone number. And she would take care of the rest. So obviously, this is... there's been no other communication, no other conversation that's happened with this person, and they're asking for basically all this. It's personally identifying information for your company, right? And if, in the wrong hands, could be used the wrong way, right? So I was suspicious about this, but I went ahead and gave her the information anyway. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, use your intuition. If you are suspicious about something, there's probably a reason. Let's do some research and find out. And this is what I do. I find out what the right resources are for the different companies, because different companies have different needs and different problems that need to be solved around ERC. And I help you get connected with those companies. That's kind of my job, and my goal is to make sure that I'm giving you that. So when I did, so he sent the information. Now watch this. Huge red flag. When I did, not even 15 minutes later, she texted me a picture saying it was approved. I'm confused. Is that all she wanted, or is there more than I thought? Okay. And these are the screenshots of those approvals that were sent to them. And let me tell you something. They're very legitimate looking. They have IRS submission numbers. They have claim numbers. They have things, big, long, 15, 20, 25 character numbers. Looks legitimate, right? It looks legitimate. Okay, gosh, she filed it. That's it. It's that easy in 15 minutes. My answer is no, it is not. And you'll see my response a little bit later. And so this is what she sent me 15 minutes later. I asked her, did you sign any agreement with them? Because you know, at least if you sign some sort of agreement, you can kind of see what it is that they're trying to offer you or sell you on and all that stuff. He said, what's even more strange to me is that she filed third quarter. I asked her why choose just third quarter. She told me that you can do any quarter you like. Okay, but it does not make sense since you would think she would start on the first quarter, not straight to the third quarter, right? And he's right, and you'll see why this is another red flag that she's only filing for one quarter. She did it in 15 minutes. First of all, big problem. But just filing for one quarter. Why would you, if you're filing for ERC, why are you not maximizing every potential? I'll explain why in just a moment. You'll see in the conversation here. So he said, no, he did not sign any agreements. How are they getting paid for their service? Because I'm curious about that. Because that also is going to be an indicator of what type of scam this is. Honestly, I didn't go through the company, and I'm not sure exactly what he was saying. I think he's saying that somebody else he knew went through the company, and then he went through it. So honestly, she told me just to Cash App her and give her half up front and half when I get approved. So first of all, Cash App, if you know Cash App or you know Zelle or Venmo or anything like that, once you send the money, there's no getting it back. None, no way. You cannot get it back at all. Okay. So she said, send me the cat and then she sent me I got approved. So I gave her the other half. Right. So he sends her the money up front and then he sends her the other half. She told me I got to pay again if I want another quarter. This is why she only filed one quarter. Now, in this company's promotions, because I went and took a look, they don't say, we'll just, charge you for one quarter and then we're going to charge you extra for another quarter and charge you for another quarter. They say, hey, we're your ERC filing experts, right? Just like the claim that there's 1,000 other companies right now and some very legitimate and high quality. Those, I know who those are, and that's who I connect people with. There are some that are doing it that are, they just want to get in the game because they see that there's, some big money to be made. And then they, but they're probably not the best option for sure. And then there's the scammers. There's lots of them. So send me money up front and then, we'll file you another quarter later. We'll tell you that you have to pay us per quarter, right? So he says, I think I screwed up. Not sure if I was scammed or if it was filed correctly. I guarantee it wasn't. Not if she did it in 15 minutes. Guarantee it wasn't. Okay. And he said, I wish I checked your videos before I jumped into this. And I told him, I said, there's no way on this earth that anyone can approve you in 15 minutes. The filing process is actually extremely detailed. It requires you providing all of your your tax filings for 2019 through 2021 are also payroll information and how much did you send them. Before I get to that, let me explain something to you. So this is my theory about ERC. My theory about ERC is that when it was created, they did it in a way where it made it so difficult for most business owners to ever try to qualify. And this is why most business owners only went with PPP, because it was easy. And there was the idea that it was probably going to be forgiven down the road, right? Well, since the rules changed, and if you don't know about the rules, go look at my other videos with how the rules changed and now opened it wide open so you can get both PPP and ERC. And there's a lot more money in ERC than there was in PPP. I can promise you this. It's a refund. You don't have to pay it back, any of that stuff. Anyway, go watch those videos. But what I think that they did, just my speculation, is that when the politicians created this program, what they did was they said, hey, let's create a program where we can put trillions of dollars into this program to help the small, medium-sized businesses of our country, continue on through the pandemic and after the pandemic, to get back up on their feet and going and whatnot, as long as they kept employees working for them, right? But they made it so convoluted, so complicated that hardly anybody will get it in comparison, right? There was an estimate last time I saw an estimate from the IRS was saying that somewhere in the neighborhood of, like almost 75 or 80% of all the businesses in the United States qualify. There's no question that they qualify for the ERC program, yet less than 5% have even applied. And because there's a lot of questions around it, there's a lot of, is this a scam? And yes, there are scams around it. ERC in and of itself, not a scam. But there are scams around it because of this. And why would the politicians make it so complicated? Hey, guess what? It's politics. Because in April 2025, the ERC filing comes to an end. You can no longer file after April 2025, but you don't want to wait until then because there's mile markers where you start losing benefits, losing money, the longer you wait to file. But again, another video. So there's going to be trillions of dollars sitting there. Politicians get to run around and say, hey, look at what we've done for the small business. We created this amazing program. Look at how good we are. We're such good politicians. We love our business owners, but we made it so that nobody can get it, or very few can get it. And then there's still trillions of dollars allocated. Somebody's got to spend that. Who do you think is going to spend it? The politicians. That's my take. That's my theory on it. Time will tell. Anyway, so I asked him how much he spent. He said $1,500, and his brother sent them $3,000. Okay, and that was, again, just for 1 quarter that he paid for. He said, wow, so it was a scam. He's convincing himself that it was a scam. And again, this is the letter, a screenshot of the letter that he sent, that they only filed for 1 quarter, quarter 3. They never got his 941s. They never got any payroll information and all that stuff. How do you do that? So the letter has IRS submission numbers. It has, these other approval numbers and all kinds of other details and stuff like that on here. So the conversation goes on, and he says, well, it's weird because I gave her my email. I did not receive nothing at that time. Like I said, I don't know if anybody, and I don't know anything about that company, and I don't. And that's why I'm not putting their name up here, because I don't know. But it sure feels like some kind of scam. If they actually did file for you, then you're almost certain to get audited. Did you guys remember there was all that talk about 86,000 agents being hired by the IRS? Why do you think they're hiring those people? PPP, ERC, EIDL, right? They're going to go back and look at all these files. And so even if they did file, right, they may have filed for him, sent it off, and they said, hey, he's qualified for $26,000 per employee. Well, just for this 1 quarter, it would only be $7,000 for the 1 quarter per employee, up to. And the IRS goes, is this a legitimate company? Yep, legitimate company. Send them money. Later on, they come back, they want their money back and all that stuff. We talk about that more in a little bit. So this is what she sent over the phone. He said, if I get audited, I get audited if I receive the cash. And he said, but if it's a scam, nothing will happen, right? He's telling me that he has 5 or 6 employees. And I told him, I said, if you receive the cash and it was not filed properly and you get audited, then you can end up having to not only pay back the money, but also pay penalties and fees. So imagine this. You get your filing, but it's done wrong. You get audited. So this guy in this case, if they had 5 employees, they would be qualified to receive up to $130,000. And if they get audited, they say, no, that wasn't right. then they're going to say, well, give us that money back. Well, guess what? That's going to be years down the road. And do you think this small business person is just going to have $130,000 sitting around in a bank account just, to cover things like that? No. On top of that, throw penalties and fees. It's crazy. Okay. He says, wow, I screwed up. I said, if it was just a scam and they did not file, then nothing should happen. He just lost his money in that case. But I don't know about you, man, but $1,500 or $3,000 to send off to somebody, not good. He says, in your experience and those pics I showed, you think they actually did file, or no, it's a scam? I said, yeah, it feels very much like it's a scam. They provided you all the information to make it look legitimate when it probably is just bogus. I would check with your brother to see if in the email that he got matches the same numbers. And you'll see here in a second. It might be just a boilerplate email that they use for everyone. The other thing you can do is call the IRS and see if anything was filed on your behalf. Now, that's a shot in the dark. And we'll cover about how that call went. Move me out of the way here. Actually, I'll put me up here. Okay. He says it doesn't make sense if there's more to it than just filing in 15 minutes, only for that info I send her, then it's more likely not to be approved by the IRS. Yes, most likely, right? But again, keep in mind, the IRS is receiving probably thousands of these a day. And, are they just rubber stamping them? They're just looking, saying, they're pulling up the company going, okay, it's a legitimate company. They say they have 5 employees. Great. Send them the money. We'll deal with it later. Do you want to take that risk? I don't want to take that risk. So they could have still, sent it off. I said, yeah, that's correct. We didn't get any email. That's what concerns me. We gave her our email, but nothing we received. She also gave us pictures and sent us through text over the phone. And it was the same pictures, but different business names saying it was approved. So this is what I said. Check with your brother. Said it's the same pictures. So I'm assuming that means it's even the same number. So they just have a single document that they use. All they do is go in and change the company information to make it look like it's specific to you and go, hey, you're approved. Send us more money on Cash App. All right. So he's going to definitely reach out to the IRS today. I think I just lost my money. I said, it's definitely phishing and it infuriates me. Oh man, that sucks. What do you recommend I should do? I have another business where I should file with them correctly. Of course, I told him, I said, I can connect them with my people that I know 100%. They do a great job and they have no upfront fee required. They only get paid. And now I take this with understanding that I have different sources that I provide to different companies based on their unique situation. Because it's not just cookie cutter. You might be a small business like this guy with 5 employees, and they're going to fit in one category and go to, I'm going to recommend them to this one company that's who they're comfortable working with, and they do a really good job. On the other hand, you got 180 employees. It's going to be somebody else. That's where their wheelhouse is, right? It's not all just cookie cutter. You can't just, throw everybody into the same bucket. And that's why I blocked out the URL too. I didn't put the URL in here because I'd rather have you call me. Give me your scenario and I'll say, okay, great. Based on that, you need to talk to these guys. Okay. So he said, yeah, please do connect me. Maybe they can help on this one that I filed. I have 2 other businesses. I told him, go to that link, get the information, it'll spit it out. You'll need to supply your 941 and payroll information for 1920-21. If I connect the IRS and they tell me that the ERC was filed, what do you think I should do, knowing they did actually file for it, but don't know if it's done correctly or will be too late then to cancel? And I said, I think the challenge is just being able to get through to them. But if you do get through, you should be able to have them flag the file with those numbers. And I'm talking about the IRS submission numbers. that you're provided IRS, IRS submission ID. And he said, I'm going to need to check with my bookkeeper to find out. I told him, definitely check with your bookkeeper. Now, I also in other videos, I talk about, should I have my bookkeeper or my CPA file? And you'll see why. If you go watch that video, you'll see why that's not always a good thing to do. That's not what they're good at. It's not their wheelhouse. They have not studied the 8,000 plus pages of legislation that go into this ERC program. And they're likely to either not get you the money you deserve, or they're going to do something and potentially get you audited down the road. Instead, have your bookkeeper or your CPA work with, the companies that we recommend to make sure that everything is 100% clear, transparent, and also you get everything that you deserve without the risk of down the line being audited and having to pay back everything. Okay. I guess, and that's just kind of what I explained there. But if I flag them, wouldn't it be interfere or slow the process of me getting my ERC? I don't know. Can I see my information? He was asking about, can I see my information on my business tax return? I wasn't clear on that. I said, I don't know how, I can't say how it would affect your ERC filing. Maybe you would talk to my team. They could check it out for you. Can't say for sure. And we kind of got into a little bit of, some of the details about ERC. Okay. So yeah, definitely call the IRS first. Period. I was doing talk to text. Call IRS first. Sorry, I went through all this. He said, yeah, big mistake. I should have done a little more research. Now, this is a big highlight that I'd like to get. I have had numerous conversations with business owners. And one of their biggest concerns, and it just blows my mind, is they go, well, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? How much time am I going to have to spend working on this? And the last person that I spoke to, I said, well, let me ask you a question. How much do you get paid per hour? He had 15 employees, I think. So how much do you get paid per hour? He said, well, I mean, I'm the owner. I don't get paid per hour. I pay myself a salary, blah, blah. Okay, great. If you broke it down, how much would you say you got paid per hour? And he was like, I don't know, $75 an hour. Okay, great. So to get $26,000 for one employee, how many hours would you have to work to earn $26,000? So if this takes 1, 2, 3, 5 hours, if it takes 10 hours, and you only got half of that, $13,000 per employee, for whatever reason, is it worth the time? Yes. Business owners, you have an obligation. I firmly believe this, and I also have another video on that. You have an obligation to file for ERC. Because if you don't, the politicians are going to get the trillions of dollars, and they're going to blow it on garbage. Okay? So you definitely need to file your ERC. Okay? So should have done a little more research? Yes, absolutely. I told him, hey, you're not the first, and you won't be the last. Unfortunately, good news is that it wasn't a crazy amount of money, although $1,500 is no joke. And then again, we went more into kind of some of the details about how ERC works. And yeah, good question here. One other thing is, it possible when she jumped and filed for third quarter for me, is it possible she filed also and the first and second quarter, but she used her address to cash the checks and scam me? And I said, you never know. These guys are getting pretty sneaky, and there have been, several stories that have been out about ERC scams where millions of dollars are being scammed every single day. Strange and fishy. People usually start in the first quarter. Is it possible that they can cash my business check? And again, he's saying, man, it's scary. Now, keep in mind, this is at this started at 12:50 a.m. Pacific time, because I'm on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast. So this guy's sitting up in the middle of the night at, 4 o'clock in the morning, his time, can't sleep, tossing and turning because he's going, oh my God, did I just get scammed? Okay, so I wanted to explain it. So the problem with this is that even when you do file correctly, it still takes several months for you to receive your money. And this is why these scammers are able to get away with this. It takes several months for you to receive your money from the IRS. It just does. That's their process. We can't control that. So these companies, they'll string you along. You'll go, hey, where's my money? Where's my money? And then, months and months and months go by, and you're like, gosh, what the heck is going on with my money? And then all of a sudden, that company disappears. You're like, oh my gosh, what happened? You call the IRS, and they either go, yeah, well, it was never filed, yet you paid all that money to them. Or, yeah, it was filed, and we sent it to the escrow account. Okay. So he goes on to say, how can they cash a business check? Who would let them? Are they really scammers? Way to catch these guys. I told him, I said, hey, a lot of companies use an escrow account via a limited power of attorney just for ERC, right? Just to make sure that they get paid. So, because a lot of companies, all the companies that I recommend, they all do a contingency fee. And when they do a contingency fee, they're like, hey, we're going to do all the work up front. We're doing the work. We're working hard, spending time, money, energy, resources, manpower. And so we need to get paid. You don't pay us unless you get your money, but we need to get paid. The only way that they can do that, and they feel comfortable for a lot of them, is by having the money to go into a neutral third-party escrow account. And that money goes in there. You sign off on, releasing the fees that they charge, and then the rest of it goes to you, right? And it's a normal thing, right? I mean, think about how lawyers work. Lawyers, they go, hey, we're going to get this settlement. When you get the settlement, who does it go to? It goes to the lawyer most of the time, and then the lawyer takes their fee out, and then they send it off. It's nothing any different. However, with these scammers, do they set up their own escrow accounts? Do they forge those documents to send to the IRS that say, hey, any payment sent out, go to this escrow account, and they're fully in control of it? Something to think about, right? And that's kind of what I explained here. He's like, oh, wow, this is insane. Hopefully somebody will catch them. Like I said earlier, ERC is big money, and whenever there's big money involved, there's always going to be scammers. There's already been stories. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. So anyway, yeah. So what's your name? Blah blah blah. So then he said he would get back to me. So here's kind of how that conversation went. He said, hey, Anthony, I called the IRS today. Told me it takes 6 weeks until they receive anything, even if it was filed a few days ago, and gave them my ID submission number, and that did not help. They told me it was too soon to know. Basically, I got to take her word for it now and call back in 6 weeks. So now this poor guy has to sit there for 6 weeks wondering, did they just take my money, or did they actually file, and then are they trying to scam me out of that money? Because again, now think about this. If they send it to the escrow account that's controlled by these scammers, none of it's going to that guy. You know that, right? They take all that money, but then the IRS starts doing their audits later, and they come back and they go, hey, we sent you all this money. Well, it says the cash, or the money was taken and spent, and it was in your name, and here's a document that supposedly you signed, right? We want that money back. And do you think the IRS really cares if the document was forged or not? They might, and they might give you a break, but probably not. they're a collections agency. They don't want to hear your sob story. And so, yeah, just guys, don't take chances. Number one, get your ERC. Whether you call through us or not, we'd love to be able to help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. Or, and number two, just use your head. Make sure you're not getting scammed, because otherwise you're toast. You're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to lose the money that you're not going to get, number one. You're going to lose the money that you pay if it's a pay up front type of scenario, and even if you go to somebody that you think you trust, but they haven't really done ERC, but it's just filling out a few forms. Maybe you're due, instead of $26,000 per employee because you got a PPP loan, or, and there has to be adjustments and things like that for that. Maybe you only get $21,000 per employee, yet they are only able to get you 10 because they don't understand how it works. You lose money that way too. So anyway, video's long enough. Sorry, I wanted to go through this conversation because it's the first time I've actually had a visual conversation that I could share, that you could see that these people are getting scammed, and I just want you guys to avoid getting scammed. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great day. And if you want to reach out to me, just go to erctaxmoney.com. erctaxmoney.com. That's my website where you can schedule a call. Let's chat. Take 15 minutes just to have a conversation, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Again, take care. Bye.